and all the things are here because we are here, Corinne, because we started already. How are you, and happy St. Patty's Day to you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
Why was that funny?
Because I always tell you, I'm like, we can't do anything current because this airs like 2 weeks after.
But people are familiar with the concept of St. Patrick's Day.
Sure.
So they'll get it.
Yeah.
They don't think we're doing this live. Do y'all think we're doing this live?
We're not.
Okay, yes.
We have to edit this.
Right now, when you're
That's how that
listening to
works.
this, I'm somewhere in my house cleaning a room that no one goes in and being a weirdo. And Corinne is taking her second straight back-to-back workout class before she goes and destroys all of that at the bar. At a nice bar, though.
Yeah. I'm planning on raging tomorrow night. I'm not raging tonight, but it's coming.
You know, my old instinct is just like everybody has a gift in life. Some people are able to bring together warring countries. Some people are able to bring together corporations, make a lot of money. I could always make people stay out and drink. That was that's my gift to the world. I'd be like, Corinne, it's Friday. I'm a black man in America. You're looking at me. You're just going to let me drink by myself? Is that how you're going to roll? Is this how you're going to let my people down? And eventually, y'all, I would break her. And we'd be at a shitty, scary bar.
This is the thing. I'm the person that is very easy to convince to stay out. So I'm your favorite person to be out with.
Yes.
Because I'll be like, all right, I've got a presentation tomorrow. We got to go home by 11. And at 11:15, you're like, but like, I just got you another drink. And I'm like, I guess we're out till 2 then. I guess that's what's happening.
If you're going to do it, if you're going to be tired, go ahead and do the damn thing. And don't kind of half-ass it and have like an 11:15 evening. Stop it.
I will say that like now I am old and I'm different about going out. Like I don't leave my house unless I'm going to tie one the fuck on. Right. So I don't because I understand what's happening. Like my body is like, it's going to be really hard for me tomorrow. And when I was younger, like I remember years ago, I worked in pharmaceutical sales and like I pulled all-nighters. My first year ever when I was working in pharmaceutical sales, I worked for Merck and I worked at a nightclub on Wednesdays because I couldn't give up the nightclub money. I was making like crazy money as a bottle waitress. And I would pull an all-nighter every Wednesday night. For a year.
Just straight and then work the next day.
Correct.
Would you go out the next night after work? Because that's kind of
if there was something cool going on,
shit.
probably.
Yeah.
But like I would get to work. My job didn't start until like midnight. I mean, I worked at this club called Serafina. I would get there at let's say on the early side, maybe I'd get there at 11, and I wouldn't get out. The club would close at 4. We wouldn't cash out till 5, and I had to start my other job at like 7. So I'd come home, take a horse bath, and then go directly to doctor's offices and sell them cholesterol-lowering medications.
Now, what is in your system as you walk in the door at 7 a.m. for your next job? What's going on?
Kind of, so I only drink. I've never, I don't do other things. Mm-hmm. But I remember once I had colleagues that I would work with that like sometimes we would go into offices together. They would have like, we would both work for the same company. They would have other complementary products. And so we would be like, let's just go in together. You sell, like one of my girlfriends sold Levitra, which is, dick meds.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Is that what I've been taking?
Company, but yeah. And they used to have giveaways. This is years ago, but like they used to give away a lot of swag with pharmaceutical companies. And the swag for Levitra was a little ruler that when you clicked it, it would open very slowly. Yeah.
And then curve to the right and stop at 4.5 inches. Yeah. And for the record, I was not trying to get you to self-snitch at all. I was thinking when you said, like, when I asked what was in your system, I was thinking about myself. When I started my comedy career, I was still a middle school teacher. Like that, I didn't have rich parents. So I was still a guy, that was doing something at night. And we would do a gig, especially in Miami. You go to do a show in Gainesville, do UF or something. And you do the show. You say, we're going to turn right around. You wouldn't. You drink until 2. Yeah. You drive back 3.5 hours. It's 5:30. I would come straight back to my middle school parking lot. Oof. I would stop there was a BP gas station. I would get one of those big jug coffees that only truckers are allowed to get. And I would pound that in the parking lot and go to work. With
I see what you're
probably
saying.
12 beers in me.
So what I was going to say is when I would go with a colleague, I remember I was sitting across from one of my colleagues and she was like, we met up in the doctor's waiting room and like, I know these doctors for a long time. I've been calling on them and whatnot. And, that particular job was relatively easy for me. Like I had only 30th to 60th on the east side of Manhattan. Like it was a tiny territory and I knew everybody. Anyways, I was sitting across from her in the waiting room and she's like, "You smell like alcohol." And it was because you have to shower, like your sweat glands. And it wasn't like I didn't drink heavily when I was working. I couldn't. Mm-hmm. But even just like, that was when you could smoke cigarettes in clubs. So I would smell like cigarette smoke. I had to like do the full.
You smelled like 1959.
Yeah.
Like that's how every place you went into probably smelled.
Yeah. So she was like, "You got to get out of here." Like so that was really like one of the only times it happened, but I didn't have enough time to like shower before. I just rolled right in.
There's nothing like if you get kicked out of anywhere for being too drunk, it's like, hey, it happens. If you get kicked out of somewhere because you're protesting over a cause that you believe in, hey, that happens. But to get kicked out when you guys both agree that you smell too bad to be in there, that's a rough one. 'Cause now you're on the elevator like, do you guys smell me too?
Well, I was kind of like, we could play this though. Like we know this doctor. I'll just tell him I came straight from the club. Like he goes to the club sometimes. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
But while we're on the subject of doctors, I have to give you a very funny. I'm telling you, before I tell the story, I don't have a proper ending to it. I'm hoping to figure it out. That just means
it's a real story.
It's real.
This isn't a sitcom, y'all.
So I had to get a second opinion for my goddamn Grover's disease. I realized that I have abused this plot line. I swear to God, this will be the end of it because I have a second opinion now. And I learned that, so when I was taking, they gave me the highest dose steroid humanly possible in an ointment. And I read the package insert because I was a pharmaceutical sales rep and I used to sell based on the package insert. I understand how to read mechanism of action, onset of action, peaks and troughs. I understand everything in a product insert. So I usually read product inserts if I'm given a medication. And when I read it, it specifically said not to use longer than 2 weeks because it's such a high dose steroid. By week 4, my Grovers had gotten much worse and my skin felt like it was burning. I called my doctor's office and I asked, should I remain on this product? I cited the adverse reactions in the product insert. I was experiencing them and they were like, "We'll call you back." They called me back. They said, "No," she said, "You need to be on it for 6 weeks. You have a very advanced case of Grovers." And I was like, okay, but like it's much worse. It's substantially worse and my skin hurts. So I finally decide.
Is that on the insert anywhere? If your skin is on fire,
it's discontinue immediately. So I'm like, I can't sleep on my stomach. I can't, if I turn and like the sheets rub my stomach, I'm like in agony. So I'm like, this is not fucking right.
So this isn't funny anymore. This is
it's like less funny.
Grover's is like, oh, you think this is a joke? You think this is a game?
Yeah, Grover's is like, oh, challenge accepted.
Yeah, it's like a stepdad that's like, it's had its last little bit of sass from, his new wife and his new stepdaughter. Like, I know I'm not your dad, but like, you're not gonna call me Stan anymore.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna show some respect in here,
right.
especially in front of company.
Okay, so I decide, all right, after obviously the lip filler debacle, I was like, I'm out on this bitch anyway. So I go and I look online and I'm like, I am going after the smartest fucking doctor I can find in the Denver area. Like that's how this is shaking out. So I now go and I need an appointment
Was
immediately.
that not always the plan? Was it the cheapest?
No.
Or in network?
I mean, obviously in network, but I have like a PPO. Like I have a good plan. So everybody's kind of in network. But I have said this before to, I don't know if I've ever said it publicly on a podcast, but I generally always pick Black doctors.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I understand how much harder it was for them to get to where they are, how much more driven. Like to me, that's usually what I go for, right?
Yeah. By the way, if you're, listening to this, I always choose Black doctors. She's not reading a Reddit article. That's actually how she feels. Because that could also be the beginning of like why I choose Black dentists.
No. And it's funny because I will tell you can ask Eliza. When we were on vacation in Italy, she's very political. There was something happening and she was like, I said, I don't know about that situation and I don't care. And she said to me, she goes, it is a privilege not to care. I was like, you know what? I only pick Black doctors, but I don't yell it from the rooftops. Like that was my defense because I was like, I do the little things on a day-to-day basis to help even out the system.
Absolutely.
All right, but in this case,
that's why I fuck with you.
I didn't actually look at anyone's ethnicity or pictures, and this will come into play in a second. I went and I looked for, okay.
If the words MC or DJ were before their name.
Well, I definitely wasn't going with a D-O.
Yeah.
I was looking through the names of people who had appointments in the next week because I needed an appointment soon, and then where they went to school. So I find this guy who went to Harvard, and I was like, all right, search over. He's 20 minutes away in Cherry Hills. He went to Harvard. Good enough. And he has an appointment available.
Oh.
So I see his first and last name, and all I do is register. It's very Jewy. I'm not going to tell you his real first and last name. I'm going to use a name that's also very Jewy that could be a replacement for it. So we're going to say his name's Eric Cohen, which is the most popular Jewish male name of all time. I know 15 Eric Cohens. Okay? Anyway, so this guy is a very Jewy name. And I thought, all right, he went to Harvard. At that point, all I saw was that I went to Harvard and he spoke multiple languages. And I was like, good, great, him. All right, as the appointment's coming up, because I did it on ZocDoc, it's like, it pops up with an email and there's like a tiny picture of him. And I was like, oh, he's like a good looking guy around my age. I thought, well, out of curiosity, I'm going to like beep, boop, boop. I'm going to monkey bang it into the system and see if I have mutual friends on Facebook. I don't know why this is a thing, but I was like, we call it Jewish geography. If you're a Jew and you're relatively the same age as me, we probably know some of the same. It's just a thing.
Right.
So I was like, hey, he's like, I really, it was because he was roughly my age. So I put his first and last name, we're going to go with Eric Cohen, into Facebook. And Al, I don't see, it would usually pop up and say, request friend. And then it will say how many mutual connections you have. I didn't say that. You want to know why?
Why?
We're already friends.
Ooh.
And it's definitely him. It's his picture. And I was like, uh-oh. Why would I know this guy? I don't know. So as for a living, I've called on all different, from orthopedic to rheumatology. I've never called on derms. Not ever. Okay, so I know for a fact that there's no chance this guy was a client of mine, and I also don't generally add clients to Facebook.
Right.
So I was like, what the fuck is happening here? So then I go back to his background, and I realize, yeah, he went to Harvard, but then he did his fellowship at UCLA. And I am now very certain I must have gone on a date with him. Had to have. We have no mutual friends. I had to have somehow gone on a date with this man, and I do not remember. I don't know. I assume things didn't go well. It must not have. So now
he wasn't memorable. We know that.
Well, I mean, look, at the time when I was living in LA, I did date. Like, I went on dates with doctors. I did. I mean, not clients, but I never registered anybody that wasn't a famous, mostly athlete. I didn't give a fuck about you. You would have to be so phenomenal. I mean, you'd have to be the top plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills.
One of the doctors on Botched.
Yeah, like, generally speaking, anybody I ended up going out with that wasn't uber famous, like actor or athlete, they'd last for a date. And I would only do it to appease my Jewish mother. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I've now convinced myself that, like, I can see that we're friends. Obviously, we know each other, and I don't know how, but that was my first assumption.
Makes sense.
Right. Well, it's the 24-hour window at this point. Now, remember, I get the confirmation because it's 24 hours away, and ZocDoc has the little photo, which is what prompted all of this for me to go, is my age, blah, blah. Shit, he trained at UCLA. Shit, we're friends on Facebook. You can't cancel it. It was in 24 hours. I can't. And I'm like, okay, I am now going in to see somebody who I would assume, look, my mom, and I called my mom on this because I was like, I have to go in and be like, I have a really bad rash. Do you remember me? So my mom's like, look, you live in Colorado now. He lives in Colorado. He probably doesn't remember you. And I was like, that's cute. That's fucking cute.
You must not have met me, player.
Also, you have to think this guy was in fellowship, had probably little to no time, and took me out on a date, and I just probably never called him back. So I go to the appointment, and I am so, like, worked up. I mean, I called my mom again from the parking lot. I wanted to call you, but I wanted to wait to tell you on the podcast. And I was like, I don't want him to treat me differently. Like, what if, like, and she goes, they take the Hippocratic Oath. He's not going to screw you over. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm such an asshole. And a lot of the times, like, I don't remember, but, like, I've done bad, mean things to people, big fan of ghosting. So, like, who knows what I did to this guy? And I was like, it's just like a bad practice to go see that person for medical care. right? Like, not ideal. So I go in and I get to the waiting room and they tell me to put a mask on. And I was like, okay, put the mask on. And I begin sweating like I do in this podcast studio. And I'm just like, I start, like, I'm sweating so profusely and the mask is making it so much worse. And so I say to the woman at the front, I was like, I just wondered, is like something wrong with the air? And she looks at me with her turtleneck and her fucking, Old Navy Performance fleece on. And she's like, no. And I was like, okay. And I am flop sweating everywhere. I mean, I am uncontrollably sweating. And mind you, I thought enough to like put a little bit of makeup on. I put perfume on. Like, I'm at least not going to go in.
You're going to show him what he missed.
Well, yeah. Again, I'm pretty sure it's a very unlikely
it was definitely
scenario.
You. It was that. No, I'm not. Don't ever think that I'm presenting a scenario in which you didn't do the ghosting.
I wish.
By the way, there are tears welling up. Everybody there, I see them. I see them coming. But go ahead.
So embarrassed.
Yeah.
So I like get into the room and his like medical assistant comes in and she's like, doing like the standard. She goes, so I wrote into ZocDoc. I was like, I have a confirmed biopsy diagnosis. I need a second opinion. Like, we're not mincing words here. This is the problem. Solve it. So she comes in and she's like, okay, the doctor will be with you shortly. And I am barely, she can tell I'm melting down. I'm just so sweaty. And she said, would you like to take your mask off? If you're comfortable, you can do that. I said, thank you. It really makes me very warm. Like, it's part of it, but it's definitely not why I was sweating. I was sweating because I don't know what's going to happen. I've never had this scenario before. So he walks in and takes one look at me, and now at this point, my hair is like matted to my head. It looks like I just got out of a fucking sauna. Like, I'm way, way, way sweaty. And so he walks in and he says these exact words. He looks at me and he goes, hi, I'm Dr. Cohen. And I said, hi, I'm Corinne. And he goes, welcome to my sweat lodge. That's what he said.
Oh my God, you were that sweaty. Oh no.
And I was like, I think the heat is up too high in this room. And so then the medical assistant is like, we could probably switch her to the room, the fourth room in the back. And I'm like,
oh, there's another adult chiming in on your sweat. Call Kathy. She knows how to deal with flop sweat.
And the worst part, oh God, it gets so much worse. So he's like, okay, can you like lay back? Like, let's take a look at what we're looking at here. And now I have to pick up my shirt and like my sports.
When you did that, did he go, I knew I'd get you one of these days?
No, my sports bra is like, there's sweat. And then I have to like, when I go to lay back, you can tell the tissue paper has stuck to my ass because I've sweat through my pants. It's so bad. Look, guys, I'm a sweater. I just am. And this was a particularly rough scenario. Now I'm already like so unhinged in this office. So I'm like, he goes, I said, so I'm just here for a second opinion. And I'm trying so hard to pretend like I don't know him. And like, he walks in and I want to fucking murder young Corinne. This man is beautiful. 6'4". He's a fucking dermatologist. Like, what was I thinking? Why? He's Jewish. What the fuck was I thinking?
What was going on the ring finger?
Oh, don't worry. When I read the description about him online, in the stupid, like, your medical office page, it'll be like, Dr. Cohen enjoys spending time with his wife and hiking. So when he walked in, he didn't have a ring on his ring finger. And I was like, oh, baby, there's a chance.
Window open.
They probably didn't update the bio to reflect the gnarly divorce he's in. So I'm just like, okay, so he lays me back. I have to pick my shirt up. And he goes, so we're gonna take some photos. Are you comfortable with that? He just kept saying, do I have your consent? And I was like, yeah, I don't care. Like, so now he's taking pictures of my naked body because the rash is so fucking aggressive. He needs pictures to like.
See, like, we're going to have to change the filter to adjust for the sweat. You're glowing, so we're going to do a matte
We're going to bring
finish.
Someone in here to powder you. So I am just laying there and he's like, okay, so why don't you explain to me? So I tell him, I was put on clobetasol for 6 weeks and he's like, what? And I was like, thank you. I said, is there a malpractice? Like, there's no way I should have been on it. And he's like, I wouldn't put anyone on that, period. And I would never, you can't put someone on it for more than 2 weeks. And he's like, I don't want to, dog your original derm. And I was like, dog her all you want. And he goes, I said, and so then I say her name and he's like, you mean the little one with the military haircut? And I was like, yes. the tiny fucking dictator, her. So he was like, well, this is difficult to treat. He goes, I want you to know that before you were coming in, I saw the notes and I thought, here we go. I saw the notes. Do you remember? We went out and he's totally professional. He goes, and I had to do some extra research because I've never seen Grovers in a female.
Oh my God.
And I was like, right. I did the same research. I'm as confused as you are. So he then says to me, he goes, he literally says, so what do you like to do for fun? And I was like, here we go.
What?
Definitely hitting on me. And Al, I swear to God, I'm in the back of my mind. I can't explain. I couldn't think of one thing I do for fun. Like, not one thing. I'm just racking my brain, and I was like, don't say drink, because you just filled out the questionnaire where you said you have one drink a week. Like, that's standard.
Which is insane.
But I always put that. I would never admit to like anything on any kind of form that's going to insurance. So I'm just like, don't say drink. What else do you do? There has to be something else you do. So then I was like, I have a hot tub on my roof. And he was like, okay. He's like, do you work out? And I realized he's asking me because it's a sweat thing, which doesn't play good into the fact that I'm fucking sweating now.
Yeah, and he's putting Johnson's baby powder on your ass at this point. Yeah. Oh my God.
So he takes a bunch of pictures and he explains to me that, he's going to have to see me again in 6 weeks and that like I never should have been put on that product. And like, then he tells me it probably will cause permanent scarring and stretch marks, which I don't understand. And it's like the actual skin is so thin on my stomach now that like me stretching in any direction could cause like rips in like my actual body skin. Anyways, that's a less cute part. But I get to see him again in 6 weeks. And he did mention, he said to me he was going to put me on some kind of body wash. And he's like, and just so you know, it'll bleach your towels. And then he goes, I know because I've had to use it before. And I turned the gray towels white and my wife was pissed. And I was like, oh, how pissed? Divorce pissed?
Yeah.
Like, where are we at with this?
Like, how current is this divorce? Yeah. I won't clean you out. My family's rich.
He's so cute, and I don't understand why young Corinne didn't do anything here. And I don't have an answer, you guys. I don't know what happened.
You don't need to have an answer. You need to have an answer for this question. Are you going to make a move the second? This is a second date.
So
it happens to be in a doctor's office, but a lot of porn scenarios are set there.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why I have to say the medical assistant traditionally, like in my other primary care office, my other two doctors are female, but in those offices, the medical assistant comes in, takes my blood pressure, does some bullshit, asks me some questions, leaves, and then the doctor comes in. The medical assistant doesn't stay. I'm not sure he wasn't like, you go stay in the room because I don't know. I don't know if it's just because he's a male doctor or because I think we maybe made out in the past.
Do you think you could be kind of cute, tongue in cheek with it and be like, hey, yeah. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. Maybe the second consult should be over dinner.
Okay, but he's definitely, I think, still married. Like, the divorce is in my head. I don't think he's...
Oh, you just wish that?
Yeah, it says he's married, and he referenced his wife. I just decided he wasn't wearing his ring. I don't know. It's not. My mother said to me, you can have a good dermatologist, or you can maybe screw this guy, but you can't have both. So...
Oh, you might have to just take one for the team and just get good quality care that's not going to burn your rib skin off.
Thankfully, I didn't tell him. And I told my mom, I go, but he asked what I do for fun. She goes, he asked because he's trying to ascertain why your condition has gotten worse. Like, he should have said, what are you doing that is causing sweat, which would be the hot tub and working out. But that isn't what he said. I found all of his line of, he was very jokey.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys write in and tell me what you think I should do. Because he's a dime piece.
What? Maybe that's...
His wife is not going to be pleased. Well, you see, I didn't say his name. Nobody knows. He knows. If somehow he finds this podcast, he'll know.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. Oh,
What's
yeah,
up?
The sweaty girl. She's got a following.
You guys, I got up off that tissue paper when he finally exited the room, and I saw my body outline, and I fucking ripped it, crumpled it, and put it in the trash can.
And
you don't usually bust your own tissue paper at a doctor's office.
No, the only time you do that is when you've done something gross on that tissue paper. What do you think? You're the first person that's ever done that before? They're like, usually it streaks from the underwear and the crack, but we've seen this. What do you think? You're really slick. Thanks for cleaning up for us.
I was fully clothed. Like, not fully, but I was wearing leggings, and I had sweat through the leggings.
What you did with that tissue paper is equivalent of throwing your underwear away. And somebody goes, "Is your underwear in the trash can?" Yeah. No, dog. It's like I'm cool now. You're not.
Wait.
It's a reason you had to do that. It wasn't great.
I have thrown my underwear out at Bungalow 8. And I don't even remember the context for this, but I remember some of the context. Someone was getting a little handsy with me, and I decided that I would make it easier. And then at 2 hours into the night, I've had 17. They had these amazing watermelon shots. I had all these watermelon shots. They were made with actual watermelon puree. And so we get handsy again, and he's like, "You were wearing underwear earlier." And I was like, And he's like, "Well, what did you do with your underwear?" And I was like, "I put them in the trash."
There's never a good answer to that question.
And he was like,
"Oh, what did I do with it? Why do you assume it's me?"
I was like, I don't know. Sometimes people throw their underwear out. It's so hoary.
Oh.
Yeah, they were, and it's not like a trash, like you can see that they're just at the top of the trash can.
Why did you have to obliterate them? You could have just put them in your purse or your pocket.
My clutch was too small.
Is that how you handle any
and then
situation?
He's
trying to hold my hand, so I threw my watch away. It kept brushing his hand. So, yeah, that's a very DEFCON 5 way to handle that.
I'd like to know what I was thinking. Like, he knew I had underwear on earlier in the night. Like, I was going to have to explain what happened to the underwear. Like, he wasn't just going to magically forget I was wearing underwear before.
But why don't you just gas his ego and just be like, "You got me so worked up, they were no good anymore."
I don't think I had that kind of game at the time.
Yeah, at the 16th watermelon shot.
Like 5 a.m. at Bungalow 8, no.
By the way, that's a real "this is your life" moment.
Yeah.
You're drunk off watermelon shots and you're throwing your underwear away.
I was just like, it was just inconvenient. I was like, we'll just get rid of these.
Yeah. And also, I don't like his like kind of accusatory, like, "Where are your underwear?" It's like, dude, you're manually stimulating me at a club. Okay, so stop acting like you're Mr. Manners over here.
Yeah. Have you ever had to throw your panties out? Or is it just this whore over here?
No, I've definitely probably had to throw some. I don't know. You know, there's two kinds of. I think I can only speak for men. No, I actually have a situation with a woman as well. You either drink and pass out, or you drink and you pass out and you piss the bed.
Okay.
And everybody's got, if you have a friend pool of, let's just say, 20 satellite friends, at least one is gonna destroy your couch, destroy the couch at the DoubleTree, and just bounce in the morning, flip the cushion, and then next time you're just sitting watching football like, "What happened here?" Yeah, I've never been a real underwear thrower away. What I have been is kick it, happy hour, another bar, then end up at a nightclub, and that ends up going really well. Go home with a rando, and then you get to her place, and as you're closing the door to the Uber or whatever, you're like, "I smell like the New York Knicks locker room." And then you got to take like a quick, like literally like a 36-second bath in her sink.
Yeah.
But then put her products on, but have them so they're not. So she's like, "Why do you smell like Barry Breeze right now?" It's
right.
I don't know.
I have.
Because you got to look, as a dude, especially a guy that hung out a lot in L.A., hung out a lot in Miami, in the South, the swamp region, you got to get that together, because that can secretly like end a situation, you know, if it's bad enough. So yeah, I haven't had to throw the underwear away, but maybe I've taken them off and pocketed them, because they held the door, like Game of Thrones, like that guy. Like the underwear held the stank off till I could clean it. So like, shout out to those underwear. I didn't just leave them. I didn't just leave them out there. I went back for my guys.
I mean, I've done so many fucking embarrassing. This is the problem. I got no long game. I do something, and then once I'm busted, I'm like, but you're smart. You knew that was possible, that this was how this was going to end. I'll give you an example. This is just like so embarrassing. I brought this up to my friend Michelle not too long ago, because there was an actor who I'm not going to mention. You'll know why after the story. That I was dating for a little bit, and we're still friends. And I happened to mention it to her because she likes this actor. And I was like, "Oh, I actually did something super embarrassing at his house." This is so embarrassing. I don't even want to say it. I know I'm going to regret saying this.
You got to get it out.
You guys, that's why
it's
this
like
is my
the sweat
safe
on the
word
doctor's
is
table.
Yeah, this is bad. Okay, I don't know why I did this. There was no reason to do this. So I keep, like hair-wise down there. Like I keep it very well coiffed. It's not bald, but it's like, I shave it all about, let's say once every 3 weeks or a month. And then like I keep it sort of tight and neat.
Right.
Bikini.
Right. It's like a house that a realtor is going to sell. It's like
Yes.
a lawn that's like there's no homeowner there, but somebody like still is taking care of the property.
I want to say to all the girls listening, all 3 of them, to all the gay men listening, you guys will know. I don't like waxing. I find it like really. I did it before Survivor just to like try and like get the most. It doesn't do any better than shaving, and like it was causing like irritation. Obviously, my skin is sensitive, so I just shave. All right. I don't know why I did this, you guys. So I am in this actor's fucking really nice, very nice bathroom with like his, steam shower and all the things. And I just see his fancy, and I know it was fancy. Never mind that, like, I don't know anything about men's razors, but like when I picked it up,
it was heavy.
It was so heavy.
Yeah.
It was so heavy. I was like, I didn't even know they make them like this. And I decide I'm going to
That's how it is when you're holding a nice watch, too. Mm-hmm. There should be weight to a nice watch.
I decide I'm going to clean up the garden.
An impromptu shave sesh?
Just a little bit.
You are a crazy person. That is amazing. What?
That's such a bad idea.
No.
You guys, I was like 27. I just was like, I just want to just like clean it up a little. You were not expecting that.
Oh.
I God forbid he hears this podcast. He's definitely gonna. So like basically, when I'm done, well now like the razor is wet. I mean, I cleaned it up, but I put it back on the counter, and like it was just obvious I had used it.
Yeah. Yeah, a used razor is just like you can't fake it.
And it's for his face.
Yeah. Oh God.
I just don't understand what I was thinking.
Do you think he doesn't know what the hair on his body looks like when it's been shaved?
I'm positive.
Okay.
I'm positive I was busted. I'm talking the neck. I mean, probably within 15 minutes, he walked into the bathroom, and the razor was like wet. Like, I don't know. I didn't like.
Yeah, and he goes, "Did you use my razor?" And you froze because you're about to tell a lie. And what did he say when you go, did you?
No,
he didn't say anything?
No, he didn't say anything, but I guarantee you that shit went directly in the garbage.
Oh.
But we still dated after that, so it wasn't as big a problem, I suppose. But I guarantee you he told his friends now. I mean, since then.
Yeah.
There's no question he knew.
Oh, there's no question he knew. That's not even. No, I'm just thinking about like, well, how
I'm so embarrassed.
As a dude, I'm like, what was when you were saying that, I was like,
yeah, like where are you going with this?
No, I was thinking, what would I do and what would I think about her? Okay, there's two. It depends on which Al was alive at the time. If there was the Al that there would be no like commitment at all, almost like you with the derm, where you look now and you're like, of course. It's like, yeah, one of my ex-girlfriends is so fine. And like I could not be bothered. It's like, let's go to the worst bar in Miami. Let's leave this green-eyed doctor with a fatty behind so we can go have some fun. And now you're just like,
what was I thinking?
What? So I'm like, if I was in my, okay, I might commit phase, I'd be like, it's a little forward, but I would be like, maybe she's trying to tell me like she's ready to spend more time over here. And I wouldn't be too, especially if I was attracted to her, I'd make a joke like, did you use my razor, dog?
I think I think that's a smart way to go. I think if I were to put myself, look, I always say you're only young once, be immature forever. Like I probably would have owned it. I think if I was confronted with, I don't think I would have been like, what? What are you talking about? You want to know something? This particular gentleman, I feel like I can say all of this because I'm not saying his name. Separate note, I'm going to say their names because it's worth it. I became friendly at some point in time with David Arquette, and he wanted to hook me up with his wife, Courtney, what's her nuts? Courtney
Cox?
Yeah.
How does a black man that's never seen Friends know that?
I hate Friends. He wanted to hook me up with her tennis instructor. And so he invites me over to their house in Malibu for like a big barbecue. And when this is like one of my all-time favorite moments. Like, it was so surreal. I'm going to tell you the story. You're going to have to believe that it's true because it is, but it was wild. I go to their house, and we're going to loop this back to this particular actor. I go to their house, and I get there, and it's just this fucking who's who of Hollywood. And David, who's very sweet, was like, here's the tennis instructor. And I'm like, are you out of your goddamn mind? You want to hook me up with a tennis instructor? Look at this party. I mean, look at this. And so he's like, I was like there early because he wanted me to come a little earlier than the party was going to start. Like, I had not met Courtney before. And so, I'm kind of hanging out, and he says to me,
did he say stand in front of the freezer so we can get ahead of this? Hey, old sweaty palms is here. Open the meat locker.
Here's the map of where the heat lamps are outside. Don't stand in any of these spots. So he says to me, like, he's really spending time to try and like, he gives me a whole tour of the house. And he goes, listen, just FYI, Courtney's pretty religious. And I was like, ooh. I think he said that because when we met at a club, and like, I just was, fuck this, like, I cursed a lot. I think he just wanted to like prep me that like, Courtney's a little bit more of a lady. Can
you not be yourself when you're here?
Can you turn it the fuck down?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're about to, they have a private chef, and there's a barbecue and this whole thing. And she goes, okay, everybody hold hands. We're going to say grace. And it's maybe 30 people. So I back up, and I'm just looking. I don't know anyone other than this tennis instructor and David, who's co-hosting the party. I back up, and I grab the first two hands I can. Right side is Rita Wilson, left side is Tom Hanks. And I look at Tom, and I was like, I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. And he goes, me too. He was cool as hell.
That's dope. That's such a cool thing to say.
Okay, so after we say grace and the party gets going, in walks I thought kind of we're dating actor, Bo, with a totally different girl. And he was supposed to be in Mexico. Like, he was shooting in Mexico. Like, that was the story I was told. He was not supposed to be in town. He rolls in with some other girl, and I was like, this is the razor guy.
Oh.
So maybe this girl doesn't borrow his razor. He introduces me to her, and the craziest shit happens. I was like, because I know how to really make you nervous. And so I go, I cannot believe to this day this happened, but this is really what happened. She introduces herself. I introduce myself to her, and she introduces herself to me, and then I go, and she goes, Corinne, and I'm thinking, oh, good, at least he let you know that he was dating, and she goes, we both went to University of Florida. I know who you are. You were in the calendar. I know who you are, and I was like, you went to UF? What sorority? Now I'm like pulling her, like I'm trying to make him as worried as humanly possible.
Right.
That at some point I'm going to be like, just so you know, I shaved my pubic area with his facial razor last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And trust me, every second that you guys were talking away from him,
freaking the fuck out.
It is like 10 minutes because I've had that situation where you're just like, oh, here she's about to tell her. That's a really cruel, mean thing you did, and I love it.
Thank you.
I really, really like that.
Thank you so much.
Did you call him out for how'd you handle that?
No. Then I went into, we had, so Courtney and David have a karaoke room in their house, and so we all went down to karaoke like after I don't know, 3 hours into the party, we're downstairs karaokeing, which I mean surreal as fuck for like the amount of celebs that were there, and there's just karaokeing. Yes. And so I get up there and scream out "You Ought to Know" by Alanis Morissette. Yeah, so I'm getting less and less subtle as the night goes on. Once I finished that encore, he got the fuck out of there with this chick.
I bet you he did.
Yeah,
and you gave him nice fodder for the car ride, too. Like, who was that great? Yeah, she really changed since UF.
Yeah, but this girl somehow, I've never seen her, and she's beautiful. I don't recall ever meeting her in my life, but she knew my name.
Did you ever talk to him again?
Yeah, we're still friendly.
Did you guys get really friendly again after that? Did he even try because he just knew?
Yeah, there was really no commitment. I mean, it took a long time for us to, I wouldn't say we're close friends, but, we DM each other every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Way to handle that.
I think I got the last laugh.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You used this razor.
Yeah.
How many people can say that?
Right.
Yeah. Every year you should just take a picture, guess where this has been.
I mean, the thing is, what normally someone would do after a breakup, I just preemptively do that stuff.
Mm-hmm. You start to distance yourself.
Yeah.
And Yeah,
well, I
shut down.
just start doing the things like you would sabotage somebody's shit after a break. I just do it while we're still dating, just so I can get it in case I need it later.
Well, this is your Corinne home of the pre-cheat. You
Yes.
cheat first.
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
they say get ahead of it.
While we're on the topic of dating, I have been asked by multiple patrons about your first blind date episode. Or your only blind date episode.
Yes, God, yes.
Yes. And I have questions. I want you to set it up for the listeners first before I get into my questioning.
Okay. I'll tell the story and then you hit me with
please.
all the questions. So, okay, not to be too long-winded about it, but this is a different time on the planet. This is
Give them it was 2007?
Man, I moved to Miami right after 9/11, as terrible as that is, but I remember I moved in like a couple days after that.
Let me help you. It was 2007.
It was 2007? That's when this happened?
Yeah.
That was a lot of partying in Miami. So,
don't you want to know why I know that?
Oh, why?
Because obviously I called it up and watched it.
Did you watch it?
I sure did.
Oh, God.
Well, I watched what I found, which was only 6.5 minutes long, which was like a very funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you made that or if that was the blind date.
That was the premise of the show. Is they would have if you
got such a good edit, dude.
Yeah, they really. Well, I tell you, I went out. I don't want to just to cut to the end.
Yeah.
I partied with the staff after. Of
okay.
course. So
smart.
Yes, so they gave me a good cut. But if you don't know, Blind Date was a show. It's hosted by Roger Lodge, and it was on Spike for a long time. It's basically just they'd pair up singles, and mostly in LA, but in random cities, and it was just a blind date. And the way that I got recruited for that, I didn't submit. They were down in Miami, apparently, I guess around 2007. And me and my homeboys, like way before I was ever thought about doing stand-up, me and my boys used to go out to the clubs and just dance, like kick it, like every night, weeknights, work nights, whatever.
Yeah, same.
And yeah, I was down probably, I think I was actually at Mint when I got recruited.
Good old Mint.
Mint or Rain. Do you remember Rain?
Sure do.
Rain didn't have the roof on it. I think I was at Rain just...
Or bed.
Hammered on like a weekday. And this recruiter from Blind Date came up and she was like, you and your friends look like you're having a good time. And I go, always, kicking it, bro. And she was like, here's my card. Hit me up tomorrow. Come if you want to be on the show Blind Date. So I was like, sure. So I go down there the next day and, they make you read your stats and something about you. And I don't hear from them for months. And all of a sudden they're like, can you film next week? So I'm like, all right. And at this point, I was about to move to Buffalo with my ex-girlfriend. Actually, ironically, the one I was talking about earlier, the one that's a doctor now. She was doing a fellowship.
Old green eyes, fat ass.
Oh, green eyes. Yeah, she's a married woman with kids, so I'm not going to say that. But yes, she's an attractive woman. Mm-hmm. And so, so we were almost even packed up. But she was like, yeah, go on the date. It'll be hilarious. So we moved, the night before, I'm supposed to go on Blind Date. And this is why I said it was a different time. This isn't like now people know how to do their makeup and people are ready for TV and they're like, how am I going to maximize the number of looks and the hashtags to drive my YouTube page? This was like the Wild West. I had forgotten I was going on Blind Date the next day. I went to my dive bar, which is called Billy's Pub 2, and I got so drunk I had to leave my car there. And this is pre-Uber. Do you remember how drunk you'd have to be?
And it's a problem.
To get your car back in the morning.
To call for a cab.
Call a cab to leave and come back is like that's when like, and the reason we got in trouble is the bartender that I knew, he was definitely, looking back on it, definitely a meth guy, but he also drank his face off. And he pulled out a bottle of Bacardi 151 and he goes, we can't sell this. We're going to finish this tonight.
Oh.
And me and this guy sat there on like a Wednesday night. And I blacked out. I wake up the next morning. Shoot was like at 8. I wake up the next morning. It's like 10:30. I have 21 missed calls, threats on my voicemail from the producer. Like, we have a $60,000 camera crew down here. Get your,
my God.
So I wake up. I get in my car. I am as hungover as I've probably ever been in my life. Drive down to the date, parallel park. Throw up right there, go in, and the date just begins. They put us in the car, and the reason, if you ever watch...
tell them the premise. Like,
right,
so they're pairing two people on a blind date.
Right, so you guys usually meet in a neutral location, like in front of a water fountain or something, and like, hi, I'm Al, you're Corinne, blah, 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 I'm from Cleveland, whatever, and you do like kind of a fun like little building, like, oh, let's see if there's something here. And in between the first commercial act, which is like 6 minutes, and then the next one is 6, they get you all the way drunk. That's why if you watch that show, it's always like, hey, Corinne, I'm Al. And then the next clip, they're like, all right, then, well, bring it then.
Yeah.
Because in between those 2 minutes you didn't see, there have been 19 drinks had by both parties. And they're trying to get me to drink, but I'm so hungover, like the smell of it is it's like, imagine you can't even get water down because you're so hungover, and somebody's like shoving and it's like it was such a waste because they were like top shelf, whatever you want, Louis the Eighth or whatever, 15, but go get it. I could not drink, so it took me a while to even. And I think if memory serves, when you watch my date, there's a clock winding because they're like Al is late, and so we get there and immediately she was attractive, but she was much more skinny than I.
Oh my God,
she was much skinnier.
She was a waif. And also wearing like what Gwen Stefani wears in Bananas song. Like she's wearing like Adidas track pants and like a crop top. And I was like, girl, what is you doing?
Yes.
Where's your dress? Like wear an appropriate outfit.
And this was like one of those rare days in Miami where it's a downpour all day.
It's not that rare.
Yeah. So they
Once
had
a day it does that.
So we have to scrap the outdoor plans that they had for us. And they were like, we scrambled and we found a dominatrix for you to go see. It's like a personal trainer, but she's a dominatrix.
No. They went to Crunch Fitness.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden there's a dominatrix and I'm like, this is not a thing. And then the dom is just like, all right, more sit-ups. And I'm like, this is the weirdest shit. I have so many questions about it. And also, you know what I don't want to do on a date? Fucking, you're wearing
lunges.
A nice white long sleeve shirt. Like they had you, I think, change out of that, but she's still wearing the same outfit. So like,
well, she came ready to exercise. She was pre-fabletics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was wild.
And so now, not only am I trying to get down drinks while I have the worst hangover, now I'm doing burpees.
Who
and I
wants
feel
to do this on a date?
I feel terrible. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna pass out. Like my stomach hurt, and so in the meantime, she is just going off on me about her living situation. Like as soon as she got in the car, instead of like exchanging pleasantries, she was just like, she got in, she's like, oh, it's good to be here. My grandmother is a bitch, and I was like, okay, like first sentence out of her mouth, and so like I'm like, oh, what is happening here? And she was just going off about like she was down in Miami to model. And I was like,
told she was like, I'm fat. Like, and you're just like, I have to tell you, first and foremost, I was like, Al looks so hot in all of that. Like you come off, first of all, you look like such a gentleman, but you also look so hot. And I think why I think that is I like no facial hair.
Oh, really?
Yes. You looked like, I was like, I get why they picked him. Like he's a hot. And then, like, I think they described you, they did, like, as a student. And she was just, like, the neighborhood slut. Like, she got the worst edit she was terrible.
They did not like her. She was short with the staff. I think her name was, like, Ariana or something, something. And so I finally, because the date is, like, 8 hours. Yeah. It's like, it's a shoot day.
They kept, like... you never take a hippie to a second location. I'm like, why are they? This is like the fourth location they're at. Now they're having drinks. This is a long date.
Yeah. So like, so if you watch the video, which we will make available, by the time we're sitting down for dinner, that's the real Al. I finally felt better. I was younger at this point, so I could recover like Wolverine. Yeah. And so I'm feeling better now and just kind of like coming to it. I'm like, oh, she's super whack. Like this is like, I need to get away from this chick.
I have it. Hopefully this will work. I have it on a place. Bookmarked in YouTube, and I want to play for you a quote of something you said during this, okay?
It's weird because, everybody has like their bad relationship story. I've like had the best relationship. I don't know what God I please, but I've never had like the crazy girlfriend or the key your car girlfriend or the, call your house 50 times and hang up girlfriend. I've never had that, so.
Oh, Albert. You get what you ask for.
And then I proceeded to have both of those. Two separate people.
I've never had a crazy ex-girlfriend. Well, look at you now, sir.
Oh, my God. First of all, I am sorry for anybody that had to listen to that and hear how I was talking. I sounded like I had a toothpick in my mouth the entire time, like a guy leaning against the fence. Hey, yeah, girl. I stand by the fact that I was hungover. I would have been a lot wittier than I was. But
what's her excuse? She was a complete cunt the entire time.
She was just an unhappy person. And I remember when I called her to tell her that the date was airing, because they called me, like this, I was already living in Buffalo at this point, and they called me like, hey, your episode's going to be on that Friday or whatever. I called her, and the phone rang, and like a dude picked up, and I was like, is Andriana, whatever her name is.
Anaya.
And then so like he goes, hold on. And then she gets on the phone, and I go, hey, what's up? This is Al. I'm like living with my girlfriend in New York State. Like I'm not hitting on her. She's in Miami. And I'm like, hey, this is Al. I just want to let you know our blind date episode is going to be on. And she was like, who is this? And I was like, okay,
come on.
I was like, all right. You know, like when you're like, don't flex in front of your whack dude, okay, in his mom's house, which is where you guys definitely are. Like, I was just like, and when she goes, who is this? I go, look, man, our episode is going to be on. I just want to let you know. I hope you're well. And like hung up the phone. And that was the last time I talked to her. But just to put a bow on that, and this is going to sound like bullshit, but I hope you guys know that we are two people that are incapable of lying. You have to remember this is the pre-internet, so the TV was still big. And so I'm waiting tables at a Thai restaurant. And that Friday night, older black woman comes in, and like before she gets to the hostess, you were just on Blind Date. Like the night it aired, like somebody recognized me immediately. Like it was like, yes, you're around royalty. Now where can I seat you? Near the window? It was quite the experience. I'm glad I did it.
You're the worker, not the person, the patron of the restaurant. Okay.
Oh yes, I was waiting tables. That was the
all the glory.
All the glory. So shout out to Ariana.
Anaya.
Look,
he's not even pretending he doesn't remember your name. You had a stupid name and he can't remember it.
I hope you're. I honestly, I hope you're well. You don't. I'm sure you don't remember me as. You didn't remember me 4 weeks. And I was like, it was like, dude, you're not living a life where you would forget that you shot a TV show
for a whole day.
Yeah, we call that first
with
and
a dominatrix.
Yes. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Mm-hmm. But the good news about everything, the best thing to come out of that was just that dominatrix in real life was one of the finest human beings I've ever seen.
Well, it was funny.
Oh, my God.
It's obvious they did, like, a cut and paste because she's a dominatrix in full uniform, and then they gave her, like, one of those fake tattoos that say crunch.
Right.
Like, to make it seem like, yeah. She every Wednesday she's here. There's no way.
Yeah, she had a paddle. Like, she was hitting me on the ass as I'm doing, like, lunges, and I'm like, bro, this is not the time. Like, it was, I could have handled it better, but it was just, like, such a very of its time Miami story of just randomness. And then after we got rid of her, like me and the staff and all, it was their last night in town before they went back to New York or LA. And we ripped it up till like 6 a.m. I went straight to work. There it is.
I mean, I did MTV VJ for a day. Like I did MTV Fashion Be Loud. I did anything MTV asked at any point in time.
I did a lot of MTV too.
I fucking loved MTV. It's nothing now, but.
I was on MTV Made. Did you ever do that show?
I did not.
Oh, remember where they had to have a coach? Did I say it on the podcast? I was on Made. First of all, we shot like almost all summer for that, and I did it with this kid named Jordan. He wanted to be a ladies' man. He wanted to learn how to do stand up and meet girls, but he was on the spectrum. But that term went out, so they were still calling it Asperger's at that time. And it was like the first time that I realized, obviously before I even had a son on the spectrum, like I was like, oh, people on the spectrum aren't born with the built-in ability to let fear distract from like what they're doing. And I remember like talking to him, and he was about to do stand-up on MTV at 15 years old. He's still in high school. And, Louisville Improv, shout out. And I was just like, hey, Jordan, are you nervous? I mean, I remember going up for the first time, and he just goes, and this is a sold-out showroom, national TV, first time he's ever done stand-up. He goes, Al, we talked about the jokes. I'm supremely confident. And I was like, that is the sexiest thing I've ever heard anybody. Like, I almost got like it was such a gangsta thing to say. Like, I know everybody thinks that you could be cool, but when you get there and you see cameramen and sound guys and people rolling speed, and you're like, oh, all those cameras are going to be on me, and those cameras are going to go out to millions of people, and I'm 15 years old, and I've never done stand-up. I'm about to do stand-up in front of a room full of adults. And he's just like, yeah, what's up? And he did great because they don't have the built-in social fear of like, if you mess up, everybody's gonna think you're dumb. My son wouldn't care. It's like a superpower.
It is a superpower.
Yeah, but you have that, but it's just confidence.
The story of how I got on Fashion Be Loud is incredible. Even when I look back, if you were to ask me like what was like the biggest accomplishment or biggest like moment, it's really that. It's not Survivor. It's not Amazing Race. It's not whatever else I've done. It was that because the way that I got on that was so absurd. They came to Fashionably Loud was half regular models, half regular girls in college campuses, half actual models, and it was hosted by Nikki Taylor, who's a supermodel. And they have bands that play, and you walk the catwalk, and you kind of dance, and you interact with the bands a little bit. And it's on spring break.
Was it in Miami at the Clevelander?
It's so funny. My picture is up at the Clevelander. That's where my calendar shot was. No, this was in Cancun.
Okay.
So they went from college campus to college campus, and there was this casting process. And so I show up, and there's thousands and thousands of girls across every campus. It's not like they just went to University of Florida. They went everywhere. It was a big search for the 8 regular girls that would walk in the show, and then they had 8 actual models. So anyway, I go to this casting call, and I don't know why in my head I was like, well, obviously. Now, mind you, I didn't have my boobs done by then. There was no reason for me to be this confident, but my parents just like made me a confident person as a kid. And it wasn't that I thought I was so hot. I had practiced my walk. I thought I'm it. So all my sorority sisters go on the casting. And I don't get the call back, but one of my sorority sisters does, and we're all going to Cancun anyway for spring break. And
so you kill her and assume her identity.
Well, close. So she says to me, we get there, and one of the stipulations actually, because MTV is so cheap, you had to already be going to Cancun. They weren't like flying you to Cancun. It was people who were already going to Cancun, which honestly at that point in time was no problem because spring break in Cancun was like everybody's dream. So I'm there with like 10 or 12 of my sorority sisters, and I say to her, we get there the first day, and the callback she's going to is the next day. And I was like, so I'm just going to come with you to that callback. And she's like, no, you're not. You're definitely not doing that. I'm not taking you with me. And we have no money, and it's expensive, and we're in a foreign country, and we have to like get a cab to the callback. So I was like, she agrees to give me the address of where it is, but she's like, I have to go in at 8 a.m. You will not be going anywhere at the time. I want nothing to do with this. This is crazy. You didn't make the callback, Corinne. Like, just deal with it. And we were both calendar girls, and I was like, yeah, they just made an error. And that was honestly, that's maybe I'm on the spectrum. I really thought that. I was like, they made a mistake. Obviously, they just made a mistake.
It's a little spectrum-y. I've often thought that about you.
It's a wild thing to do. So I take a cab by myself at noon. The callbacks were going until like 3 p.m. I go at noon, and I show up, and there's a guy with a clipboard. He's like, name. I give him my name, and he goes, you're not on here. And I was like, that is outrageous. I came to Cancun. I was told that I got the callback, and I'm just arguing with this guy, and finally he's like, okay, go in the room. Like, at this point, he doesn't want to argue with me anymore. And he's like, it'll take, it's a 2-minute audition. You just basically, they look at your body, and then you do the catwalk back and forth, which I had practiced. Like, I'm good at a walk. I can walk. And so I do my walk. I do like a little spin, and I'm like, I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Like, I literally walked out. I said that. I went back to my room. Next morning, I wake up. We split. It was like 6 girls in one room, 6 girls in the other. The girls in my room, the phone rings, and one of them picks up like the hotel phone. We didn't have cell phones. The hotel phone, well, we did, but they didn't work internationally. The hotel phone. And one of my girlfriends picks it up, and it's the casting people from MTV. And I was like, okay, give it to me. So I was like, hello. And they're like, congratulations. You're one of the 8 that got cast. We're going to have you tomorrow. All your friends get VIP seating. It was Busta Rhymes, Eminem, NSYNC, and 98 Degrees. They were like, we're going to have your fitting tomorrow. It was like, so we were in Cancun for 5 days. So like one of the days is a fitting, and then 2 different days are shoot days, 2 episodes of Fashionably Loud. So I calm as a cucumber. I remember this moment so well. I hang up the phone, and the girls were like, what's happening? And I was like, oh, I'm on Fashionably Loud. And they were like, holy shit. And I was like, everyone, we need to wait until we'll make up a name for her, till Lisa gets called, because I don't want to gloat. I'm thinking she's the one that got the call back. So we wait. Now we have drinks at the pool. Now we're getting ready to go out to the club. And they were like, Corinne, she's not getting called. Like, you got to go tomorrow. You have to tell her. And I was like, shit. So I took the spot. There was only 8 spots. So I got on it, and she didn't, despite her getting the call back. Look, she was very gracious about it. She stood in the front row. Like, I got everybody. We partied. Like, we smoked blunts with Busta Rhymes. We did all the things, right? Like, all the damn things.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Did that affect your relationship going forward?
Yeah, we never really.
Of course it did. Yeah, she's the.
I don't blame her. It sucks. It sucked that I did it. I wouldn't have known where the callback was if she hadn't gotten it. Although honestly, I would have figured something out. I would have gone hotel to hotel till I found it.
Well, yeah, and also like that's kind of on her too because she gave you the information. She'd be like, "Look, I have to focus on this," But I'm sure she didn't know she had a friend that would usurp her like that.
I think her confidence was she didn't get the callback. She's either not going to get in the room or they don't want her. They didn't want her, and my whole thing was they made a mistake. I'm going to fix that for them by showing up to this callback, and it turned out to be the case.
And you know what? You know when you need to employ that tactic the most? Right now with that derm. You go, hey, excuse me, have you ever seen Fashionably Loud? Yeah. Doesn't matter. You've made a mistake.
That's perfect. Yeah, so you are listening to two very big MTV stars.
Oh, my goodness.
We need to update our profiles on our podcast pages.
Absolutely. And before we move on permanently from MTV and Viacom, I need you.
The people who paid us nothing, by the way. I got nothing.
That's what I was about to say. What do you think? I shot for 3.5 weeks during the summer in Louisville, Kentucky. The kid lived in southern Indiana, so I would go back and forth. What do you think I got paid for 4 weeks, 8 hours a day, to film a show that would air for an hour and aired 33 times on MTV?
Oh my God.
What do you think I pocketed for that summer?
Oh, I had to be. If it was MTV, it was. Maybe you got $150 a day. You got paid like an extra. I'm sure they don't spend money for shit. It's your honor. I mean, you're lucky that they didn't pay me for any of the shit I did. They were like, we'll ply you with drinks.
Right.
But.
Yeah, we won't tell you where the cocaine is, but we'll tell you where it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I walked away that summer with 1,000 American dollars.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. That's even worse than I thought.
It's worse.
Holy shit.
And I'll never forget, they were so cheap. They didn't even pretend like they took tax. It was just $1,000 flat. Like I owed a loan shark or some shit. 1,000. So $250 a week, $50 a day.
I can tell I was an extra with my mom on Wild Things, the movie, and we got $150 a day to be extras on Wild Things. That was more than you got to be the actual talent on the show.
You just sparked another random effing memory when you said extra. When I was living in Mississippi, I did my freshman and sophomore year at a black college in Mississippi called Tougaloo. Shout out Tougaloo.
It's a cute name.
And my cousin Raina went there, and they were filming the show the movie To Kill a Mockingbird down there. I love that movie. In a place called Carson, Mississippi, this small town that's smaller than Jackson. And my cousin Raina was like, she was auditioning. She wanted to be an actress. She was auditioning to be the court reporter in that. And, of course, I never read. I barely knew what Kill a Mockingbird was. But she was like, come down here with me. So I went down to the set of To Kill a Mockingbird, and she went and auditioned, and she comes back. I had found like a court across the street. So I was like shooting hoops on like this terrible court in this small Mississippi town. And she goes, they're auditioning for extras because I guess there's a scene where like some young black boys confront the Klan, and one throws, I've never seen the movie, one throws a Molotov cocktail on one of the Klansmen or something. And so she was like, just go audition. I've never, at this point, this is 17-year-old Al probably, and I had never, the idea of being in entertainment might as well have been an astronaut, never crossed my mind. And so I go over there, I audition, my first audition ever is for a movie, and I got the part. I effing got the part. I was on set for 4 days.
Jeez.
And they gave me the role where, like, the only reason I know that role exists is because, I landed that part of the kid that throws the Molotov cocktail. And I remember they were just like, okay, kneel down and act like you've just seen your friend killed. Okay, stand up and welcome your new baby. Like, all these weird things. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. But I think I was so ignorant.
Yeah.
I was probably really good because I didn't care. Yes. And I was just like, okay, I'm looking sadly at the ground. People get paid for this shit. And the reason I'm not in the movie is because my pre-algebra teacher, not even my algebra, I was taking pre-algebra in college. That's how dumb I was. And she goes, if you miss another day, you're going to fail your freshman year. Rather than saying, hey, there's a young black student that's in a movie made by Joel Schumacher or whoever made that movie.
Cut him some slack.
Yeah. We were eating like lobster tail at lunch at the Crafty. I didn't even know it was called Crafty at that time. And I dropped out of the movie. because of pre-algebra.
Oh, I hate this woman.
Yeah.
Is she still alive?
No, she just passed away, and I don't know how to feel about that because I really want to tell her.
I can tap dance on her grave.
You could have think about the fork in the road of my life that could have been had I just
damn.
It's not like I booked the part. How many times that movie been played on TBS? Just the royalties off that. Like, it's just, that was like, I think I had speaking roles, so I would have got my SAG card.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
It was a major motion picture, and that was back when everybody went to the movies, too. Like, that would have, I'm glad it didn't, I guess, but, because my life proceeded, and I'm happy it did, but I just keep thinking, it's so interesting that people claim to be like, oh, I'm in higher education for the betterment of kids, but, in your mind, that also means taking them out of an A-list role. I don't know what I got. I would have gotten probably 100 racks for that.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also what an incredible opportunity. How short-sighted. Who the fuck cares about pre-algebra?
I should just redone. But again, that was back in that time where people our age used to think about timelines I have to repeat. I have to go 5th year. People are going to think I'm done. No one gives a shit
Not if
where
you
went
were
to school.
In a movie.
Right. No one cares when you finish. No one cares about your degree. But back then it was everybody's going to think I'm dumb if I have to do freshman year again. Oh, I didn't do freshman year because I was on a movie set hanging with Sam Jackson. How'd your freshman year go, buddy?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, my mother was the opposite. I really hated missing school. I won the perfect attendance award all through high school. But in middle school, she pulled me out. We were extras on Caddyshack. The pool scene was shot. Yeah.
What?
So Florida's a right to work state. So because it's not unionized, they do a lot of shoots there. And my mother was anything that was shooting. Like I said, we were extras on Wild Things. Because it was shot at Ransom High School in South Florida. Yeah. My mom was always like, "Ooh, let's."
Do you think she always wanted to be an actress?
No, because she's kind of a little quieter, but she's always been enamored by them. On the way here, I actually asked her. This is no point in this, but I called her to ask her if she could please send me. I have a black and white headshot. It says to Corinne, love, Michael J. Fox from when he was on Family Ties, because my same uncle that worked on Growing Pains worked on Family Ties. So I was like, could you please find the box that has the Michael J. Fox headshot? And she's like, why? Why? And I was like, why does it matter? Just send it to me. I just want it. And she's like, but they're that's so she's annoyed she has to go find it. And my mom is the most organized person. I guarantee you she knows exactly where this is. But she was like, I don't want, and I was like, I just think it'd be funny. And she's like, because he has Parkinson's? She's now.
What a horror.
She's so sad. I go, no, it's funny because I have a 1985 headshot of Michael J. Fox signed. That's the funny part.
The bigger question is that your mom her first instinct was well, of course my daughter's going to make fun of the Parkinson's.
Yeah.
That would never even cross my mind. You'd be like, Jesus Christ, Mom. I'm not a monster.
Oh, shaky jeans.
Yeah. Shout out Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. So anyways, I have that. It says to Corinne, love Michael J. Fox, and I'd like it, Mom. But if I can get it, I'll put it up on our Instagram. So if you haven't gone, my safe word is more on Instagram. We upload all kinds of shit. There's things we put on there all the time.
Well, speaking about things that people don't always want put out there, some people of our human tribe have found a way to pass the time. Some people go swimming, some people go to bars, and some people go to sex clubs. And I know that you have a story about a sex club that you would like to tell me about. And that is what I want to hear about on this all-important day of St. Patrick's Day.
I have obviously not been to this sex club. I am just going to give you some information that I uncovered that I thought you might like.
And also, it's not obviously that you haven't been there. You've been to some sex clubs.
Yeah, this one, no. And when I read you about it, I think you'll understand why. So this website that I went to, it's for Mon Chalet. Chez Classe.
Yeah, very regal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Where's the squeege?
The website is put together like my MySpace page was. And the top, the font, they just couldn't commit to a color font. So there's too many colors and there's just too many different fonts happening. But the top, it says your doorway to erotic adventure. That's fine. They go on to describe it and they say, from our standard suites to the deluxe suites, every room is equipped with a remote control television featuring regular cable and our special channels, 12 in total.
Oh.
Are you loving this so far?
I'm here for this. And I'm assuming those other channels, you can look into other rooms?
Oh, no. I think this is just, it's just a really shitty place.
Because that's what you also
have.
have.
A remote control television, you don't say.
That's what they have at like the worst hotels when they're just like the cable TV, jacuzzi, free
color
parking,
TV.
Color TV. And you just know like, there's yellow police tape around this place every other weekend.
You're right onto it. So then he says, or whatever this website says, these features, along with large, well-placed mirrors surrounding our king-size beds, make our adult resort unique. You also have the ability to choose additional features from our selection of suites, including decorative fireplaces, the swing, whirlpools, and our famous love machine. No explanation of what a love machine is. None.
It's got to be a Sibian, right?
I don't know. It could be the jerk-off machine. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
No matter if you're timid or wild, novice or experienced with adult lifestyle resorts, Montchelay is the place where fantasy becomes reality. So then I go on to read some of the frequently asked questions, because those are always, for whatever reason, every sex club site, it's just like, here's the site, here's FAQs.
Right.
And that's it.
Do I have to bring a girl with me? I'm sure it's number 1, 2, and 3.
Well, you don't, which tends to be a major problem. It says, do you have any suggestions for couples? So let's start with them. You're a couple who has rented a suite at Montchelay because you're looking for a romantic evening or possibly a walk on the wild side. What do you do now? No appropriate punctuation used. First of all, relax.
Right.
After you have checked in, take time to unwind, because if you are anxious and nervous, your partner will be anxious and nervous, and that is not sexy. Get settled into your suite and familiarize yourself with the amenities. And if there's anything you have a question about, our helpful staff will help you.
That's so hot, familiarizing myself with accessories.
But why'd you have to say, don't be anxious, because that's not sexy?
I know. It's like
you're making me anxious.
It's like a stage mom right before you go, okay, Corinne, smile. Don't be nervous. They can tell. They don't like that. You're sweating. Corinne, good luck.
Yeah.
It's like, why did you say any of that to me?
Exactly. And then it says, and please be considerate of others. While certain body types may not appeal to you personally, this is another person, and simple politeness goes a long way toward avoiding bad feelings. Rude behavior by any guest or harassment will not be tolerated. I'm sorry. Also, why'd you say that? Don't talk about the fatties.
Yeah, there's definitely somebody's like, that man over there in the blue trunks pointed and vomited when he saw me. It's.
What are people doing?
Yeah.
I went to a sex club with a bunch of amputees and I didn't say anything.
You know what that is? You know what that note is really saying? It's like, don't email us after you've seen the trolls in here. Yeah. Because that's what it is. A lot of people are like, it's all dudes and they're ugly. And they're like, hey, listen, we practice body positivity and we don't see gender. Yeah. That's how they cover everything.
Yeah. So now do you have any tips for singles? Now, apparently a huge problem is that they allow singles. You can't just get a day pass to the pool if you're not a couple. You can if you're a girl or you're a couple. But if you get a room, you have carte blanche. Now, so do you have any tips for singles? So they start with the same nonsense. Montchelay, you are a single man who's rented a suite because you heard sometimes couples are looking for someone to join them and you think you might just get lucky. So what do you do now? First of all, relax.
Oh, God.
And then they go through the anxious, nervous thing. And then it says, next, check the size of your ego. This is a real website, you guys. Make sure it is in shape and sized appropriately for the situation. Even if you resemble the sexiest Hollywood heartthrob, you should take it down a notch or two. Big egos, even with the equipment to back it up, will usually be rewarded with a big rejection. And you wind up alone and frustrated in your room at the end of the night. Yeah.
Did that just turn into like a poetry slam at the end? You may think your ego can do this, but let me tell you something. I got heart inside of me. Like that's a very weird thing. It should just be like, hey, welcome. What happens here stays here, and we're not Vegas. We don't take pictures, baby. So let's go.
I mean,
what's all this? Don't be nervous and rubbing my back.
Take it down, big dick energy. Don't know. So then again, after relaxing a while in your suite. No, I didn't come here to relax in your shitty motel.
I came here to familiarize myself.
It's time to go to the clothing optional pool area. I'm sure everyone's opting for no clothes. This is where you are most likely to meet other guests. Once there, take your time. Check out your surroundings. Notice that there may be one At most, there may be more singles already in the hot tub. You reason correctly that in the hot tub, everybody is closer together and meeting new people is much easier if they are close to you. However, if there are more than 2 or 3 single men already in the hot tub, you might just sit in a chair on the side or hang out in the pool for a while, as a hot tub full of single men can be very intimidating to couples and may drive them back to their rooms.
Oh.
If you do get into the hot tub, don't stare at the naked girl sitting across the hot tub from you with her boyfriend or husband, as most people have an aversion to being stared at and will assume, probably correctly, that you are some kind of a pervert and will stay as far away from you as possible. Yo, what is this website? And do you or do you not see what the fuck is going on at Mont Chalet?
Yeah. Okay, who's responding to this? Because it sounds like the same person, like the same young woman that like doesn't go, but she works like, she does the digital media, but she's terrible at it.
Yeah.
But she's also definitely doing all the cocaine that all the single men are giving her. And because the answers are like too emotional and too long-winded for this. Because like these things are like, you want to keep the mystery. If you and I open a sex club, when we open a sex club, it will be mysterious and sexy and discreet. And because when you're giving people those instructions like, hey, let's not make this a sausage boil. So if there are 4 guys in here, don't get another. If you have clientele that need to be told that, they should not be there. Yeah. Like you need to have like, even if it's like, I'd rather have 7 high-end singles and maybe a unicorn or 2 in there rather than just like 41 whack dudes where all the women are like never again. It's why nightclubs don't let a group of 6 dudes in. No one wants to see dudes. Dudes don't want to see dudes. Girls don't want to see dudes. Guys don't want to watch guys watch other girls. Dudes are super weird unless there's a bunch of good-looking gay guys. Then they know how to act.
Agreed.
But like the creepy straight dudes, and creepy gay dudes too. There's a stare factor that they don't understand. It seems like they don't know.
Just the very idea that this is your website for this is just hysterical to me. So then I see on Are We Dating the Same Guy in Denver, right? My favorite Facebook page of all time.
Of course.
I see somebody brings this up. Has anyone been to Mont Chalet? So I'm like, and it just happened coincidentally today. So somebody responded, it's a club, BYOB, same concept as the ranch, Scarlet Ranch. It's literally an office building. And adults can do what they want there. The old offices are all converted into different spaces. Great for OnlyFans content. I'm sorry, it's an office building? So then I go to the reviews because I'm like, what are people saying?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You want to bang me on top of this 1983 Xerox machine?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So there's a ton of reviews, and I couldn't sift through them all, so I'm just going to give you a sampling. This one says, first, let me start from the get-go. As you come to this hotel, the area is very, very ghetto.
Okay.
I felt like I was going to be robbed or raped. It's in a bad area of town, to say the least. So, Aurora? Where is this? Went to the counter to check in. This part's not that interesting. As we got to the room, we noticed a nasty stench of stale smoke or something. It was gross and making me cough like crazy. I wanted to do something nice for my husband. And since he just got back from overseas, this is an owl tales. Who cares where he came from?
Yeah.
And this is not what I wanted. Both my husband and I are non-smokers. It was gross. Mentioned it to management when they came to ask about the smell of gas in our room and told them it had a nasty smell. Okay. The shower in the room was horrible. No pressure. It took forever to take a shower. I mean, what the fuck? I paid $171 for this. I am sorry. This was supposed to be special for my husband and me, and it was gross from the start. Very poor management and housekeeping. Would not let my dog stay here. Do not ever go to this hotel. It was nasty, beyond words, and made my skin crawl.
So many things right and wrong with this, but go ahead, please.
This is where it gets good. Then time passed and I noticed it was kind of dead in the parking lot, so my husband and I just wanted to go to bed. Well, here comes the part that made my skin crawl. I pulled the sheets and noticed there was a small blood stain. What the fuck? Do you still want to go here? 170. She goes, this was a buzzkill and it was nasty and gross. As soon as I woke up in the morning, I'm sorry. So you just get your car and go home. As soon as I woke up in the morning, my husband, we wanted to get the hell out of there. I will never go back to this. What did I get for my $171 hotel bill? Motel 6 would have been better.
Oh my God! First of all,
she great?
goes, at least I'm married to a gentleman. He said he'd sleep in the bloodstain. That is so gross. That is so gross. That is so. I don't. They stayed, Corinne. They saw it. And 2 adults were like,
I guess this is
deposit's already down. What are you gonna do, baby?
I was overseas. I need this.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to pick one more at random. This one says, this place is in a horrid area of town. By the way, why did you, if you just needed an office building, hey, here's an idea. Pick an office building that's not in a super fucking stabby part of town.
Because those office buildings don't let you bring your gross sex club in there. A lot of dentists don't want that next to their $800,000 a month derm office. Yeah, here's Mon Chalet. Excuse the blood stains.
Extremely dangerous and surrounded by gates and fences for that very reason. The rooms are okay but dirty. They allow single men to spend the night in the pool saying no thanks over and over again to them. They even hung around outside my room waiting for an invite. It was very uncomfortable. Do not go there alone. Yeah.
Oh.
So anyways, I will put some more of these reviews on our Instagram page. There were so many people that were like, all the stories are like this. It's just repeat on repeat.
Okay. I have something that is the equivalent to this that I will introduce next week.
Okay.
And it's so weird because I was outside earlier this week and I was like, I wonder if that'd be good for the podcast. And just to give a little before, it'll be reviews next week. These are reviews I have not written, sadly. But there is it's like one of those hometown suites or whatever, those terrible places. Those places that you stay right before you're living in your car and then after that, homeless. Yeah. And so, like,
that is true.
You know, that's like
it's right after the divorce hit.
Yeah.
You start out in the suites.
It's a homeless transition program. It really is. It's like, that's what it is. It's people that are like, we have rent this week. We don't have rent then. We had to live in the car that week.
There's a microwave in the room. There's a hot plate.
There's always 2 chihuahuas in the car. And so when I moved here to Denver, 2017, I didn't have a place yet. I didn't know anything about Denver at all. I just knew the comedy club here. And so I'm just looking, and I'm like, Aurora, Colorado, I think that's where the rich people live. So I just booked for a week while I've got a bed and sheets and all that kind of stuff that would eventually be stolen. Yeah. I stayed at this Homewood Suites. It was like a week's rental. And I get there, and first of all, it was just weird. I get there at like 7, and the lobby is closed. Like, it is Christmas morning. Oh. I mean, lights off. Like, no computer monitors off. At 7. It's a
reasonable hour.
Yeah, it was very reasonable. And there's a sign that's like, if you come in past 7, please call Tina. And it was written in pen, and it was her direct cell for sure. And so I called this woman, and she came out and just like, if you were filming a movie that was trying to be too heavy-handed, that this person is from rural America and coming out of a double-wide trailer, like, this is how she was dressed, like just like one of those cheap pink kind of moo-moo things. I don't know, house dress, I think.
A burqa of sorts.
Yeah, it's just like big and just like with one of those dumb sayings like, something like,
Mondays?
Something like that. Like, don't wake me until I've had my coffee or something. Like one of those things.
That.
And so she comes out, just no words, just keys. She's like, "You ready?" I'm like, "Yeah." And we go up to the 3rd floor. Door to the 3rd floor, elevator opens. There's just a guy asleep.
Excuse me?
Just a man curled up asleep. Corinne, am I making any kind of face like somebody's trying to be funny right now?
Oh shit!
And this is like, I know people like just get another place. Like, I am coming off of comedy. I've spent a ton of money to get to Denver. I need to spend money. I couldn't like go out and get a new place, especially this night. And so she just steps over homeboy.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, this is already get to and it's like. A hotel, but more like halfway house. Like, I don't know.
If some guy is curled up in the room.
Like, he was just on the floor, just asleep. And so we opened the door, twin bed, TV, one face towel, and one of those cheap face towels that you give like when somebody's like just got out of like solitary and needs to take a shower, but like not enough of a towel for them to kill themselves.
Right.
It's that. And there's a sign right off the bat. There is no housekeeping service. Do not ask.
And this is before everyone stopped doing housekeeping.
Oh, yes. Yeah. This is just a gross place. There is definitely next door a prostitution thing going on because I'd never stayed next door to one. Like, I always thought about prostitutes being like a house or something. But this was here, and you could just tell because like you would just hear like knock, 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 and then like go in. weird little and then
Yeah.
and then but it's like 30 seconds and then door shuts.
I sadly know
and
this. I lived across from people who were Airbnb-ing in LA 4 years ago. They were running a brothel across. I could see it through the peephole.
Yes, and brothels are like very in and out. There's nobody's falling in love. Nobody's taking their shoes off. So it's super quick, and it's just like over. And I'm just hearing this happen next door. I go outside to get something out of my car because I was like, I need to get all my expensive stuff out of the parking lot of this place. So I go downstairs. There's a dude on the curb, and he is doing meth openly on the curb, sitting on the curb, but he just did that meth tuck.
Yeah.
Where it's like, are you going to tell him?
Yeah.
And so I started reading the reviews, and I'll just say, I don't know if they're not better, but they rival Montchalet because all the reviews are people like me, people like you that just are like, they didn't know. So everybody's like, we're in Colorado from Germany. And like, so.
I mean, also, by the way, we're comparing apples to oranges here. This is a sex club, which I'm going to assume that can be dirty. You're going to a hotel.
Right.
Not supposed to be a sex club.
It is. I mean, it was the grossest place I've ever stayed. I'm talking about overseas, not overseas, the grossest place ever. We will get there. And unfortunately, I think we're at the end of this episode. I know we have more. We got to wrap it up around an hour 30. We're just like two old girlfriends that are on the phone in like 1984, just on a landline phone.
Yeah, I know.
Game show going on in the back, talking about our kids, black coffee in a mug, bitching about our partners. Yeah, he thinks I don't know he's cheating. Yeah, I can talk to you forever. I love you so much.
I love you too. And we love our swimmers. So we'll be back next week.
Oh, gosh.
But also, my safe word is more advice at gmail.com.
Do you hear the sadness in me?
I know.
I'm like, I don't want
to.
Oh, God.
Well, I know, but we have real lives we have to get to.
I know. Well, guys, you know what we always say, guys. To my swimmers, keep your head above water and
Just keep swimming.